Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome. This is Alicia Katz-Pollock from RoyalWise.com, and welcome to How I Learned to Love QBOA. So a little bit about me as everybody is coming in and getting settled down. My name is Alicia Katz-Pollock, and I will be your tour guide. I'm a top 100, no, not a top 100 pro advisor. I'm a top 10 pro advisor from Insightful Accountant, and I'm a member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network. And so if you ever take any classes from qbtrainingevents.com, or maybe one day when we get back on the road for the roadshow, I'm one of Intuit's national trainers teaching about certification and product knowledge. Here at RoyalWise.com, I have my own training program. I actually have a master's in teaching, and instead of teaching 7th grade English, I decided to actually teach people who are motivated to learn. So I switched to teaching adults, and I've always had a passion for computers, and so computer training just kind of fit naturally for me. And so at RoyalWise.com, we have live classes like this one, and we also have a vast video library so that you can just on your own time, at your own pace, get the training that you need. And in addition to QuickBooks training, we also do Apple training and Microsoft Office as well. I'm also a published author. I have several books on Amazon. So if you look for me on Amazon, this is my first one. This was actually the notes from the first, my QuickBooks boot camp. And I took my handouts and I turned it into a book and put it up on Amazon. And I have some more advanced topics like gas stations and convenience stores and things like that. So you can find out all my other sources. Now, that's enough about me. I also want to give a special huge shout out to Uncat.com, who is our sponsor for our session today. I'll be talking about Uncat in context of the material, but Uncat is one of those apps that I just think is one of those killer apps that when you're doing bookkeeping for your clients, you know how, well, you're not psychic. You know that there are transactions that you don't know what they are, and you have to communicate with your client to get that information so that you can move on with your job and do your reconciliations. So Uncat is one of those power solutions that can help you keep going even while you're doing what you need to do so that you can get the information that you need from your clients while you're categorizing transactions. And we'll talk about that later on as well. This class does have actually about 100 slides. 3 hours sounds like a whole lot of time, but if you've had any classes with me, I can talk for hours about all of this. And so I have a lot of material that we are going to be going through. It's going to be a very demo day. I'm going to put something up on a slide, but I'm going to spend time in product actually doing all of the techniques and showing you how it works. We have a pretty big group today, so I'm really excited about that. So you can get the handouts for today by logging back in at royalwise.com and then going to this course, and in the handout section, you can download. I did it in 2 formats. I did one PDF that's just the slides themselves, but that's like 97 pages long. So I also did handouts where it's just 6 up so that you can have the slides themselves. But, you can always come back into the course anytime that you need them, so you don't have to print them out. Why did I make this class? Why I love QBOA? So one of the things that you come to know about me is that I hate doing anything twice. I want to do something once. I want to do it as quickly as possible and efficiently as possible, but I don't mean quickly sacrificing quality. I'm really, really impeccable with my work. And so I don't want to take a whole lot of time to do my reviewing and spinning my wheels. So I always look for all the different features in the software that speed up my bookkeeping time so that I can be as effective and cost effective as possible. If you are making the transition from desktop to online, and if you are a bookkeeper who has been using desktop and you're coming back over to QBO, it can be a little bit of a challenge to make that transition because you're very, very good at what you do in the context that you know it. And QBO does all the things that desktop does, or at least most of them, very differently. And I like to make the joke that it's like Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire, that Ginger Rogers does everything that Fred Astaire does, but she does it backwards and in high heels. And so what I want you to come out of the session today is understanding the differences between the 2 pieces of software, where all of your familiar tools are so that you're not struggling looking around trying to find some things in a new interface. And also be introduced to all the things that you can do in QuickBooks Online for accountants that you can't do in QuickBooks Online and you can't do in Desktop. So those are the things that I'm going to be talking about today. One of the reasons why I came up with this topic in the first place is when I'm on social media or just talking to my colleagues, a lot of the time I hear reservations. Like if you ever read one of those posts on Facebook, it becomes this big flame war of like, which do you like better, QBOA or QuickBooks Desktop? And a lot of people are like, oh, QBO, that's terrible software. It doesn't do as much stuff as QuickBooks Desktop does, and I can't do multiple screens, and it doesn't have this, and it doesn't do that. And I've actually found that most of the time, that's actually a training issue, that it does those things, but you don't know where to look for them. And so I consider it what we call in my industry a training issue. And so I really want to make sure that everybody has all the tools that they need in order to succeed in your jobs. And I also love digging out all of those little obscure tools, all of the little things that you didn't know were there. And I have some really cool backdoor tricks to show you today, like things that aren't in the software that you can do with the software, or hidden links that will allow you to be more effective with it. So I'm going to be showing you some of those as well. And one of the things with QuickBooks Online that you kind of have to get used to is it is ever changing. I mean, literally ever changing. And in fact, if you open up 2 client files, you might see 2 different environments. So becoming comfortable with rolling with what's new is important when you're using QuickBooks Online. That if you're somebody who does not like change, this is going to be challenging for you. But I personally look at it as an opportunity to expand myself and learn new things and improve my delivery and do whatever I can to serve my clients better. And whenever Intuit does make changes, what they're trying to do is enhance your experience, and they make the changes they make based on feedback. And so that feedback up under the gear is incredibly important, and use it frequently. The more often you put in feedback and the more they hear from users about one feature or another, the higher up on the development it goes. And I know that they actually have a room with the feedback coming up on a monitor where they can see what people are saying all the time, and then it gets compiled. I know from personal experience that they pay attention to that feedback. I do know that feedback is really important to Intuit. And so when you do have a concern about something in the software, or you have feedback for how they can improve it, please, please, please always go up to the gear and let them know. So here are the things that we are going to talk about today. So the first thing that we're going to do is take a look at the QBOA interface and the Work Center. So we're going to take a look at setting up your team. You might be a solo practitioner, or you might have a team. So talking about how to manage those. We're going to look at the Client Center, the Work Center, projects and tasks, client requests and document sharing, the client overview, the accountant tools briefcase. Then we're going to go into a hands-on demo about how to do a book review. So this is either doing a new file setup or your monthly books review, where you're doing your reconciling and your categorizing and all of that. And so we're going to take a look at the setup tab, the transaction review, the reconciliations, the final review, and the wrap up. Now, just when you thought that was a lot, that was just the first half. We are also going to go into the accountant's briefcase and talk about reclassifying transactions, reports options, notes, writing off invoices, accountant reports. We're going to talk about other tips and things that you need to know as a pro advisor, like preferred pricing, how to batch delete unbilled expenses, how to use QBO as a QuickBooks Desktop conversion tool, how to do your backup and exports. And then I'm going to bring it all home with my favorite topics, all of the cool little things that you can do in the software and gaming the system so that you can be as effective and efficient as possible. So we're going to look at keyboard shortcuts, multiple windows in Chrome, some of my favorite browser tricks, the search box, QuickBooks Labs, the audit log, bank feed rules reconciliation, and undoing reconciliations. So we have a lot of stuff today. So as always, when the Q&A comes up, you can ask questions when you have them, and I'll try and build them into the presentation, or when you see this Q&A slide. So I want to make sure that I am addressing your needs throughout today. So the first thing that I want to do is go over the QuickBooks Online for Accountants interface. And so there's basic built-in tools that are inside your QuickBooks Online, where you can do your client management and you can manage all of your task lists. And it allows you to do it all in one interface. And for your clients who are on QuickBooks Online, it actually integrates and it pulls in the information and you can see the statuses. If you have clients who are on desktop, you can add them and you can still use all the checklists and those things, but you don't get that interactivity where you can just go in and do the work directly in the file. You'll have to kind of use them side by side. So it also allows you to leverage your team. You can get a feel for what your team is doing. And what it does is it does eliminate or reduce the need for third-party software for your to-do lists. So if you are using Carbon or Arrow or Asana or Trello or some sort of punch list for all of your clients, you may need them, but you might not need them, especially if you're a beginner who's just getting started, because first of all, it's free. It's right inside the software. And you might find that it suits your needs and you don't even need to pay extra money for those extra third-party tools. So I always encourage everybody to see if this is going to work for you, give it a try, and then it may be all you need. Or maybe your needs are more robust and you do have to go get those third-party tools. But there is file sharing. There are other tools that are right inside it. So as much as you can keep everything that you do inside one hub, that's always really nice. So the first thing that I want to mention is that it's really going to be helpful to work in more than one browser. And so what I do is I keep my QBOA, my login, in an incognito window so that I have full functionality. And an incognito window is a feature in Chrome that does not track cookies. It does not track the cache. And so every time you go into it, it's a completely pristine environment. And if you ever call into it for support, that's one of the first things that they're going to ask you is, well, did you try it in incognito? Because the problem that you're having with your QuickBooks might not be QuickBooks. It might be your browser interfering with it. And so whenever you are having trouble, try it in incognito before you call support, because that will tell you that the problem is on your computer. Then you can just go ahead and get that fixed. The other reason why I like Incognito is because it allows me to open up multiple windows all at one time. So when I'm working with my client files, I keep my QBOA open in an incognito window so that I have all of my client management tools and all of my checklists right in front of me, and then a whole separate window with my client files. And then that way I can do two things at once. I'm a huge fan of multiple monitors. In fact, 2 monitors for me is not enough. I like 3. I like 2 to keep things side by side for what I'm working on. So for instance, I can see a bank statement and my client screen. But then I also have all of my office management tools on another monitor. So let me show you what I mean by this with Chrome Incognito. So a Chrome Incognito window is not just opening up Chrome, but you go up to the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, and then you can see here a new incognito window. And an incognito window is kind of dark and mysterious. And so that's how you can tell visually which one is the browser that you're in. And so I will log into my QBOA here, and then log into my client files in a separate window. Now, I want to actually take that a step further and show you some extra tricks. So this is me logged into my QBOA right here. When I'm working in a client file, here's my first trick. When I'm in Chrome, let me go ahead and just make a new window, a new fresh window. So here's a regular Chrome window. And here's one of my tricks. There's a little circle in the upper right-hand corner, right up here. And this is what they call person profiles. And this is what synchronizes between all of your different computers. So for example, if you're logged into Chrome on your main computer and a laptop, or even on your phone, it synchronizes the content between them. But here's the super cool part that people don't know is there. There's these other profiles down at the bottom, and you can see here that I have one for Alicia for when I'm playing D&D. I have one for my QBO book club. I have one for Wild Style Construction. This is the juice right here. You can actually create separate environments for each of your clients, and that allows you to have them all open at the same time. So you don't even have to switch between them. You can have two clients open. So what I do is I make these profiles. So I'll go ahead and click add and then create a new profile. I'm not going to sign in right now to do it all, but you can pick a theme color so that you can see them. You can name it. And so I can give it one of my client names. So you can give it a picture, all of that. And then what that does is it creates a whole new pristine environment. And in that environment, you can put up your own bookmarks. You can give it its own color. And by actually turning on the bookmarks bar, let me go to bookmarks and show the bookmarks bar. I can even put in tabs for all of this client's bank accounts and all of this client's web stores and all of this client's resources so that I have a workspace specifically person by person by person. And then it's super easy to switch between them just by going up to the circle and then picking them, and you can have them open all at the same time. Because I have them all full screen, now I'm on a Mac, PC is a little different, but you can see that I have all of these different desktops open. That's because I have them maximized to fill up the screen. You don't have to maximize everything. You can just go ahead and turn different ones into windows and then see them all side by side. That's totally fine as well. But this way I get to keep track of everything and be able to multitask all at the same time.